the last class, we had discussed on calculating the individual securities risk and return. And the risk that we calculated was the total risk. That is, total risk comprises of the systematic risk and the unsystematic risk. The unsystematic risk is the company-specific risk, and this risk can be avoided or can be controlled by the process of diversification, that is investing in different securities. But systematic risk is the market related risk, and we know this cannot be controlled, it is uncontrollable. So that is actually the relevant risk for decision making. So we are going to see more on systematic risk. Systematic risk is the variability in the security returns caused by changes in the economy or the market. All securities are affected by such changes to some extent, but some securities exhibit greater variability in response to market changes. Such securities are said to have a higher systematic risk. That is, we see in newspapers that the Sensex has crashed, Sensex has fallen. So when the Sensex falls, we can see that the company share prices also fall. And suppose the Sensex has fallen by 1% and our company's share fell down by 10%, then the security is said to exhibit greater risk than that of the market. So such securities are said to have greater systematic risk. And suppose the Sensex falls by 1% and our stock price falls by only 0.5%, then such shares are said to have less variability or less volatility or less systematic risk. So the average effect of a change in the economy can be represented by the change in the stock market index. Therefore, the systematic risk of a security can be measured by relating that security's variability with the variability in the stock market index. So we know that risk is the variability in the returns. So systematic risk is the variability in the individual stock returns due to changes in the or due to variability in the market returns. So when the variability is higher, the security is said to have a higher systematic risk, and when the variability or the volatility is less, it is said to have a less systematic risk. The systematic risk is measured by a statistical measure called beta. So when we refer systematic risk, we usually refer it by the term beta. The input data required for the calculation of beta are the historical data of returns of the individual security as well as the returns of a representative stock market index. The two statistical methods are used for the calculation of beta. The first method is known as the correlation method and the second method is the regression method. So in the correlation method, we know correlation means finding the relationship. So in correlation method, beta is calculated by the formula beta I equal to RIM sigma m divided by sigma square m. So what does denote? RIM is the correlation coefficient between the returns of stock I and the returns of the market index. Sigma I denotes the standard deviation of stock I, sigma m denotes the standard deviation of the market index, and sigma square m represents the variance of the market returns. So in the second method, it is called the regression method, and regression, you know, it is finding out the extent of relationship between the independent variable and the dependent variable. So the regression model postulates a linear relationship between a dependent variable and an independent variable. The model helps to calculate the value of two constants, namely alpha and beta. Beta measures the change in the dependent variable in response to unit change in the independent variable, while alpha measures the value of the dependent variable even when the independent variable has zero value. So here they are saying that there is a relationship between dependent variable and an independent variable. So in our case, which is the dependent variable and which is the independent variable? The independent variable is the stock market index, and the dependent variable is the return of the security. That is, independent variable is the return of the market index, and the dependent variable is the return of the individual security. So then what does beta measure? Beta measures the change in the dependent variable in response to unit change in the independent variable. That is, when the market return changes by 1%, how proportionately does the stock market return change? Stock market return alla the individual stock return. That is, when the market return changes by 1%, how does our individual security return change? That is measured by beta. And alpha measures the value of the dependent variable. That is, the alpha measures the value of our individual stock return even when the independent variable has zero value. That is, when the market return is zero, how much is our stock market alla individual security return? So for the calculation of beta, the return of the individual security is taken as the dependent variable, and the return of the market index is taken as the independent variable. The regression equation is represented by Ri equal to alpha plus beta into Rm, where Ri is the return of the individual security, Rm is the return of the market index. Alpha, as we told, estimated return of the security when the market is stationary, and beta is the change in the return of the individual security in response to unit change in the return of the market index. So this can be also stated as the definition or the meaning of systematic risk, that is the change in the return of the security in response to unit change in the market index. So this is the systematic risk of a security. Then we can say that this beta can be positive, negative, or zero. So when beta is equal to 1, that is, the systematic risk is same as the market risk. This can be shown in the diagram that is given. That is, the x-axis represents the market return, the y-axis represents the stock return. The alpha indicates the stock return when the market return is 0. That is, this portion is the alpha. Then the systematic risk, that is, suppose the market return is this much and the stock return corresponding is this much. When the market return increases by 1%, the stock return also increases by 1%. There is a same return. Then this portion is called the beta. So we can see the market return and the stock return is the same. So systematic risk is same as the market, that is beta equal to 1. Next case is when a beta is greater than 1. When the beta is greater than 1, the stock return increases more than the market return. That is, we can see in this diagram, when the market return increases by 1%, stock return increases by more than 1%. So when the market return increases by 1%, the stock return is increasing by 2 or 3%. So that is a good thing, you might think, but think of the opposite thing. When the market return decreases by 1%, our stock return will decrease by 2% because the beta is 2. So that means the risk is more than the market. So this portion is indicated by beta. You can see here this portion is indicated by beta. And then when the market or when the beta is less than 1, when the beta is less than 1, the definition, or we can say that the market, when the market return increases by 1%, the stock return does not increase by 1%. It increases either only by 0.5, 0.2 or like that. So here the diagram is given. When the market increases by 1%, so here when the market increases by 1%, the stock does not increase proportionately by 1%, and this portion is indicated by the beta. So stock return does not increase according to the market return. So they are said to have low systematic risk. That is, when the market falls by 1%, our security will fall only by 0.5%. Then there is a case where, that is when beta is 0, less than 1, that is, and greater than 0. Then there is a case where the beta is negative. Negative beta indicates the stock return moves in the opposite direction to the market return. That is, when the market return increases, the stock return will decrease, and when the stock return increases, the market return will decrease. So we saw in this class about systematic risk. Systematic risk is the variability in our security return in proportion to the variability in the market return. Systematic risk is measured by the statistical measure beta. Beta can have values equal to 1, greater than 1, less than 1, or negative beta. Thank you.